Hi, this is Sarah Russell, and today I'm going to continue my series of videos made for fellow practitioners that are interested in mentoring um, or who are currently mentoring with me, um, talking about a really important series of topics. And so this is going to be the introduction to um, to a series of videos that I'm going to do on how you can detoxify your holistic health practice by being aware of and eradicating certain types of behaviors that you may have, certain types of behaviors or attitudes or um, communication habits that you might have that are actually counteractive to your client's healing. Um, so um, this, I realize this is going to be a very controversial topic and that a lot of people may be quite offended, but there is a lot of fear mongering in the holistic health world that is actually leading to a pattern of sabotaging our clients' health instead of helping clients heal, even though the practitioner may be coming from the right place. So one of the worst things that we can do as practitioners is inculcate fear in our clients, in even in the context of giving them information that is supposed to help them take positive action. No, if a positive action is taken with a positive framing, then it's going to be a healing step. If the person takes it from a neutral standpoint, it has the potential to heal. And if the person implements a positive, a positively charged change, but in the context of fear, it's quite likely that the person is not going to have benefits or may even be harmed. Um, so let's think about it from kind of an algebraic perspective. So if you envision the number line, 0 is neutral, and then there are the positive numbers that go up from 0, and then there are the negative numbers that go down from 0. So anything that any amount of fear, negativity, obsessiveness, or other destructive valence you give to people is like a number under the 0. So the farther you go under the 0, the more the positive change is going to have to be high in beneficial charge in order to even come out as a neutral wash. So I'm going to give the example today of how destructive fear can be in a person's progress towards healing. One incredibly common example is in the world of mold toxicity. So in the functional health world, we all know that that mold can be quite damaging to people's health, and that mold toxins are, potentially quite hazardous. However, there is a way to convey things usefully in order not to terrorize your clients. So I'm not saying that you should keep them in the dark, but when you talk to your clients about mold toxicity, you should not use language that makes them feel like they can't heal or like they can only heal if they do certain things. People heal by accident all the time. And then a lot of people will accidentally not heal because they believe that they can't. So in the world of health research, we know that when people are misdiagnosed with a grave diagnosis that comes with an equally grave prognosis, so for example, if you accidentally diagnose, if you were a doctor and you accidentally diagnose someone with terminal pancreatic cancer and you tell them they have 6 weeks to live, they actually have something completely different, and they would have a completely different prognosis with the correct diagnosis, that person may still die in the 6-week period just because they believed the diagnosis and prognosis that was given them. The same thing can happen in the holistic health world. So even though we as holistic health practitioners do not diagnose, treat, or cure any disease, we certainly can create illness and perpetuate a state of ill health in people if we lead them to believe, no matter what our intentions are. Remember, you could be the most well-intentioned practitioner and you may have the best heart in the world, but you can still terrify your clients into not healing by inculcating fear. Anything that sounds like fear or blackmail, either implicitly or explicitly, you need to be aware of that and you need to correct your language. In 1998, I was in a life-threatening situation of mold toxicity in the home environment that I lived in Berkeley. I was actually in grad student housing, and it was some old 1960s military barracks, and the university was at the time not admitting that there was a serious mold problem. But I happened to be very lucky that, when my health started failing and my immune system started breaking down, and there was, my medical team kept putting me on more and more medications. I was in my early 20s and I didn't really know anything except I had asthma and it was really bad. And I couldn't breathe, especially at home. And that's where I lived. And the sicker I got, the harder it was to leave my home. And it was a very bad situation. Anyway, my allergist was a very smart lady. And she also happened to know a contractor who had done a project in the apartment complex that I lived in. And she told me, look, your apartment complex is riddled with mold. I know this guy who was a contractor and he literally fell through the roof because there was so much dry rot. I know this is the reason why you're sick. And you need to make a plan to get out of your current living condition. You need to get out of your lease, etc. So anyway, she was very practical. She conveyed information that was really important to me without saying, you will never heal. My health continued to decline. And actually, as I had a series of illnesses as a result of the mold exposure that I had experienced, followed by an adverse reaction to a medication that I was administered to try to support me. And it was not the right medication, although my healthcare team was trying really hard to do the best that they could for me in a difficult situation. And I declined to the point that my allergist looked me in the eyes and she said, move or die, Sarah. And but she never said you will never heal. She never said you will have to spend years and years and years and, tens of thousands of dollars on fancy testing and supplements. And if you don't go to the right person with the right kind of training, then you'll never heal. She was very matter of fact. She gave me all the information I needed to hear. Those 3 words, move or die, were enough. I left everything behind and I moved and I recovered. It took me a very long time to recover, but fortunately, I didn't even have internet. I had just purchased my first computer in my first semester in grad school, and it was Windows 98 and or something like that. And it seemed very fancy at the time. And I'm very lucky that Google didn't even exist at the time and that I wasn't able to do any searches. I was recovering at home with no internet. And I literally did not have the information to scare me into believing that I couldn't heal. I got up every morning feeling horrible and wondering when I was going to heal, how I was going to heal. But I never doubted that I could heal and that I would heal. And I did. I played the game of what color is my skin going to be this morning every day for like 6 months. It was not always fun. But and I went to a number of physicians, and I tried to get on the right track. I was very successful with acupuncture. And I got really good advice from some people who had, who had experienced illnesses similar to mine, but nobody ever told me that I might not heal. I never believed that, and I healed just fine. I'm not saying that it couldn't have been worse. It definitely could have been worse. But I really believe that the reason why I healed was because I did not have access to a podcast on chronic inflammatory mold syndrome, or chronic inflammatory response syndrome, or other conditions associated with mold illness that are framed in such a way in the holistic health world as to lead practitioners and clients to believe that healing is almost impossible and is only for the elite. And by the elite, I mean those fortunate enough to be able to invest loads of money, and I mean multiples of tens of thousands of dollars in functional testing, in very expensive supplements, et cetera. I'm not saying that there aren't people who legitimately need to spend that much money on their healing. Those people exist. I know some of them. And, thank goodness those people have found the healing that they need. But I think it's really important to help people understand that healing comes in waves, and that not everybody all the time will need to do the most drastic thing just because the specific trigger of their functional health, or potentially even medical condition, if they are seeing a medical practitioner who has diagnosed them, they may have something that can potentially be quite scary. Mold illness can potentially be quite scary, but we do not want to scare people just because that can happen. We need to help people understand that there are ways that strategies that the body has to heal, regardless of what they may have. We don't want to be wishy-washy or just sound like Barney. Obviously, nobody would pay Barney for a holistic health consultation or a nutritional therapy session. But what we want to do is make sure that we are leading each and every client to believe that their body is capable of healing, and they don't necessarily have to spend loads and loads of money. They don't necessarily have to, consult with the most expensive expert in a certain field, and certainly fear does not have a place. So we need to find a way to educate people and inform them in an empowering way that gives them the information that they need without scaring them. Because fear is counterproductive in the healing journey. A lot of the time, subconsciously, practitioners are using fear tactics in order to bind a client to them, or to a network of healers, to which the practitioner belongs, in order to kind of suck the person in. That is an exploitative tactic. So you always need to ask yourself if you are acting in integrity. Are you saying something to the client because it's true? And if you do believe that what you're saying is true, do you have evidence for that? And are you saying it in a way that is emotionally empowering to the client? Or could it be interpreted as a kind of terrifying, or as a sort of blackmail? Those are really important questions that I hope that you will ask yourself as a practitioner. And I'm not saying this in judgment. I'm saying this so that if you have ever done this, that you can notice it and correct it, because we as practitioners can also heal from mistakes that we make. We don't need to be terrified any more than we need to terrify others. We can heal, they can heal, but we have to be aware. This is really important. So go forth and inform people in a way that is empowering and supports their healing, instead of that is terrifying and sabotages their healing. So thank you so much for listening, and stay tuned for the next video in my series. I'm going to continue with other topics along the same line. So thank you so much for listening, and until next time, bye.